I'm Bob Leopold, and I'm blessed to serve Southside Abbey in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm a 2015 ECF Fellow. My fellowship project is deeply tied to Southside Abbey. We're doing some missional things there, some exciting things there, some innovative things there, but we're not alone at Southside Abbey. There are several of these communities that are forming throughout the Episcopal Church, or have formed throughout the Episcopal Church, and my project is the Innovative Ministry Rounds, where we can get these groups talking one to another and learning one from another, that we might share best practices and some struggles that we've had to face, but also share resources not just among ourselves but with the broader Episcopal Church community. The Innovative Ministry Rounds idea we've borrowed from the Grand Rounds of Medicine, where a patient will share his or her story with a dozen doctors or so who may hear a dozen different things and learn different things from the patient telling his or her story. So in a sense, we're borrowing that to use among these missional communities, where folks are going to come visit Southside Abbey, and then folks from Southside Abbey will go visit these folks engaged in this kind of ministry, with the ultimate goal of having groups of diverse rounds that then might go to bishops or dioceses or communities wanting to start new, innovative, dare I say, emergent missional communities in their own way, that they have a resource. There's a team maybe that could come and visit and say, here's what we've done in our context. And because that team will be made up of people from all kinds of different communities, there's bound to be points of connection that will resonate in the context of the ministry that's being formed. But really, what I really like about it is that medicine, I think more so in the past than it is now, was known as the practice of medicine. It's not the science of medicine, right? It's the idea that we learn these things by doing them. It's the action, reflection, action model. And that's really what we're about in this is the practice of ministry, right? And it's healing and it's hopeful, but we're going to try some things, and then we're going to look back and say, oh, that didn't work. You know, one of the things we learned is do not hand out soup, right? Soup says you look poor and you look hungry. Here, have some soup. So we don't do soup anymore. All the stuff we do, we try to be celebratory about it in nature because we don't want to fall into the soup pitfall. But we learn from that, right? It's action, reflection, actions. Well, we've done one visit so far with the Episcopal Church in Minnesota. They brought a group down of 9 folks from a few different communities, representing a few different communities. And the visit was 3 days long. And we really employed the action, reflection, action model of basically we took them through a typical weekend at Southside Abbey, which included Friday evening worship and a meal time. And then Saturday we did, borrowing from our friends out at Thad's, we did some laundry love with them. And then we had a lot of conversations about what they had seen so far on the Sunday afternoon. So the action reflection is sort of really taking place in Chattanooga, and then the action is hopefully then what they take back with them into their communities. So action, reflection, action, but it's sort of broken up by time and geography. Yeah. I know there are many of us out there doing new, innovative, experimental, daring, entrepreneurial kind of things like I think we're doing in Chattanooga. But we were not really connected with those communities. We might meet each other at conferences and say, hey, appreciate what you're doing to one another, but there was no ongoing systematic way that we could remain in networks. And so I'm really hopeful that this could be a way that we remain in network and just to offer encouragement and to say you're not alone, but also to produce best practices for the broader church. When I was in seminary, right, we had a seminary professor say to a class full of burgeoning would-be priests, right, you're not going to change the world. And I heard that and I was just like, I thought about quitting that day. Because of course I'm going to change the world. That's what we're called to do. And even if I can change only one little tiny part of the world, and maybe it's just a little tiny part of Chattanooga, and maybe it's just a little tiny part of Reed Avenue or Main Street, well, maybe I can be a part of Jesus's transformative change in those situations. So yeah, I want to change the world. And that's why I'm in this. And love to be partnered with Episcopal Church Foundation, because I think that's the business they're in too, about ushering in transformative change, not just of the church, but of the world. And I want to be in there, scrapping, fighting it out, asking tough questions, challenging people. I am a contrarian after all, I want to be in there in the midst of this, doing the hard work, saying, where is Jesus in this? But also being shown, here he is, right here.